Hi, welcome, hello. It's another edition of Let Me Explain You Something. So today we're going to talk about a hidden danger that potentially lurks in any real estate deal, and these are title issues. Oh no. So, if you're on the buy side, title issues are a potential landmine that could be lurking in any real estate deal. And I've got a couple of deals this year that ran into that exact issue and caused fairly significant delays in the closing. So, the first one was actually really interesting and it didn't cause too bad of a delay, so it was not too scary. But we're going through the deal. So offers accepted, it's signed. We go on to purchase and sale. We do purchase and sale contract in Massachusetts. So when the attorneys started digging into the title on this, they found a tax lien for a significant amount of money. And when I say a significant amount of money, I mean more money than the cost of the house. The house was like $1 million and the tax lien was like $2 million. And so what had happened was there was a member of the family who had owed a significant tax debt to the IRS. And that member of the family actually never had an ownership stake in the property. But it was one of the kids of one of the parents who had passed away, and they had willed the house to the next of kin, but not to this one kid who had the tax lien. But that kid had the same name as the dad, and so the IRS said, oh, well, this must be the same person. And so they slapped the tax lien onto the house. Now, under normal circumstances, this would not delay a closing if there's a lien on the property. You know, the lien would just get settled at the time of closing. You know, the monies get paid, they go to the different creditors, and then the seller gets whatever's left over. But obviously, in a case like this, where the seller didn't actually owe that money and the amount of money was so significant, there was no way that the seller was going to close the sale and then give every dime of the sale to the IRS. So in this case, it did delay the closing while the seller attempted to contact the IRS, get the lien removed from the property, which wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And they were able to do that, and it only delayed the closing by like 2 to 4 weeks. Wasn't a big deal. Now, another sale that I'm working on, different title issue that did cause a much more significant delay. And with both of these cases, a lot of times you can run into title issues when you're dealing with estate sales. So these are property sales where somebody owned the property, they passed away, and then the home was transferred generally into a trust that is controlled by the next of kin, and then they're the ones who are selling the property. So a lot of times in the descriptions of these properties, you'll see things like seller has never lived in the house, this is an estate sale. And you do want to check and see if the home needs to clear probate court or if they already have a license to sell and you're going to be able to do a normal timeline. In this case, what had happened was the mom and dad owned the property, they passed away, the house transferred over to the next of kin who owned it for however many years, and then they go and decided to sell. Well, what we found out was that the house was actually 2 different plots. So there was like a small plot of land and a bigger plot of land. It wasn't normally a house that's like one piece of land and it's one title and one deed. And it turned out that this was 2, and that one of them was transferred correctly at the time that the parents passed away, and the other piece of land was not transferred correctly. Now, luckily, the parents did own both plots. This isn't a situation where somebody else owned one of the plots of land, but it did mean that the seller had to go to probate court. They had to get it cleared up there, and this caused a significant... We still haven't closed this sale. It pushed the closing back by months, and we're just lucky that our buyers had the flexibility that they didn't need to like move into this thing right away. They were able to stay where they were while the seller continues to clear up the issue, which is also, I mean, I think it's costing them like, not the buyers, the sellers, I think are going to pay 10 grand in legal fees to get this thing cleared up. So this one was not an insignificant problem. And if my buyers didn't have flexibility, it definitely would have killed the sale. They would have had to pull it off the market, figure this thing out, relist it later. Just a giant mess. So all of this so far has been told from the point of view of the buyer side. What do you do if you're on the other side? If you're the seller and you have your property and you want to list it on the market? Well, one service that our preferred closing attorney likes to offer is they'll do a title search on the property before you even list it. And it is something that we generally recommend to our sellers. Do this pre-listing title search. Make sure that you're not going to run into any issues and you're going to be able to have this clean, smooth sale, because it really doesn't benefit you to list the property, find a buyer, find out you have an issue, lose that buyer, pull the listing, delay for 6 months, and then do the whole thing over again once you've got it all sorted out. You're much better off trying to identify those problems ahead of time and then get them all sorted and then put it on the market and be able to have your smooth sale. If you do want to discuss what this might mean for you and your home, buy side or sell side, or if you'd like to get in touch with our preferred closing attorney, we're happy to make any of that possible. Just feel free to reach out, call, text, email, send up a smoke signal, and we look forward to talking to you soon.